All right, welcome everybody. We're so happy that you're here today. This is a live call that we have every Thursday at noon Eastern for all Young Living brand partners anywhere in the world. You don't have to be a GetOiling subscriber to take advantage of what we're offering here, but you'll certainly get a lot more out of it if you do. If you get started with us today, it's $1 for your first month, and that's at getoiling.com. Let us know where you're coming in from in the chat. We do have some exciting announcements and updates here at the top of the call, and then we're going to get into this really fun topic today that is the personal assistant and accountability coach that is built into your GetOiling system, and learning how to use that and set it up so that you can spend more time in your zone of genius and really get more out of your business in less time. So you guys go ahead and head over to the chat. Let's see how everybody's doing, where you're coming in from. And Greg, I want to kick it over to you to show us this really cool thing you just recently did in our page editor.
Sounds awesome. Could you make me co-host and then I'll share my screen?
Yep, sure
yes.
can.
That's an exciting page editor changes here that I will be demoing here in a moment. Okay, here we go. All right. The change here, this is just it adds like a subtle flair or whatever, a little extra depth to your page when you're editing a page. I'll just pick, I don't know, the strategy called landing page 1 here. This is just a demo account. There's now a background shadow section or background shadow feature on a section. So like, let's say, I'll just preview this here and show you what that's like. So you can see, you know, it's quite flat. It's got that nice background image in here, but let's say I just wanted to make this center section pop a little bit. I'll close this out, click on the little pencil, and towards the bottom here, my computer's being really slow. I'll scroll down all the way to the bottom, and there's this new section shadow area here. And I'm just gonna, the shortcut is you can just click add and it'll pop something back there. You may or may not really have seen the changes. It's a little bit harder in the editor, but what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make the blur a little bit bigger. You can play with these sliders and then maybe make it a little bit darker so it's a little bit more obvious to see when I view it. Again, a little harder to see in the editor, but when I view it now, you can see there's like this, whoops, let me close that out. There's like this little shadowy background here. Maybe if I change it to, let me try another page here too. I'll show you that on a different one here. Once I just rebooted too. I was hoping it would make it faster, but here we go. Okay, so another one here. This will be a little bit easier to see here. This has this header. I'll show you what this looks like. You can see it's this red header, and I'll go ahead and add, click the pencil icon. You can see it's got a cool little Calendly embed, which I think we've trained on before. Anyway, so this header, I'll scroll back down here and add in a little drop shadow. You can see there's a little, you can see that a little bit better. There's like a little shadow cast there, but what I'm going to do is I'll make it a little more intense and maybe darken it up. I mean, you can change the color if you want to have it, you know, let's say maybe you want to have it match the red there, you know, the red header. And you can play around with these settings. If you, for example, only wanted it to cast down or up or whatever, you can do that as well. But I'll just set it here and preview this, and I'll show you what that looks like. And it adds a bit of depth to the page here. It makes it stand out and pop a little bit more. So it's an exciting little change, so you can like call attention, especially if you've got a section with a call to action, or you just want a little extra visual design flair on your page. This would be a great way to do that. Related, yeah, we've got our we have our Brand My Business workshop that there's still time to get into, and Ashley can tell you a little bit more about that. But what I'm going to do is I'll show you how to sign up for it quick, and then Ashley can talk about it here. So when you're in your account, the GetOiling back office, go down here to My Account Settings, click on that, and then scroll down, and kind of down by where there's Destined for Diamond, there's this new Brand My Business workshop button. You just click that, it'll tell you a bit more about it, and then just hit sign up now, and then you'll get an email with a link that you can click to get into the workshop. So yeah, it's tucked up under the My Account menu.
Awesome. Thank you, Greg, for sharing that. And if anybody here who's here right now is in the Brand My Business workshop, maybe you were present for our first coaching call that we had there, or if you have already started or using your templates, let folks know in the chat, let us know how things are going for you. This is free for you as a GetOiling customer. So do make sure that you're taking advantage of it. It has, we had originally promised 5, we actually gave you 6 important templates for you to use for your site, including things like your footer, confirmation pages, homepage, about me, and a really cool page that you can share Young Living from that also connects to all of the GetOiling built-in themes. So if you want to have your own customized site that's yours, that's branded to you, this is a must. Definitely check it out when you get a chance. So back to business, you guys. We're here because we would all like to have an assistant, or at the very least a robot, version of ourselves that can work when we're not working, right? Is that you? Tell me in the chat, actually, do you have an assistant, or have you wished to hire one at some point? It's an important conversation to have at some point in the development of your business, but it's a difficult one to have because these this next stage you get to in your business, when you ever find yourself at sort of an exchange of time for money, I need to work more, but I don't have time. I need more money, but I don't have time, or somewhere in between. Or I need to have more time, but if I stopped working, then I wouldn't have the money, right? So we reach that point. Sometimes we think we need to hire somebody, and sometimes it makes sense to. But before you even ever attempt to hire an assistant, I hope that you follow the steps that I'm going to share with you today so that you can actually make that something that works well for you. But maybe even more importantly, if you would like to have an assistant, perhaps before you have a budget for somebody who could work for you full time, I'm going to show you how you can get that benefit from our system. And there's a couple of features in our system that you may or may not be using yet that are going to make this possible for you. And here's the cool part. They're all really, really easy to use. There's no coding web pages here. There's no like making things pretty. This is all stuff on the back end. This is the stuff that's quietly doing the work for you, which is really powerful. And some of what I'm going to be sharing with you today, I know Jody's probably not here on our call. She's a very busy lady, but we've actually featured someone on this channel before, on our YouTube channel, and here on this live our live work session. We have a chiropractor, Jody, that is a GetOiling user who got GetOiling, of course, because she's a Young Living brand partner. But she soon discovered that she could be using GetOiling for her chiropractic practice. And so she began running a staffless practice because she learned how to use our system. And she now trains other practitioners on how to do the same. So if that chiropractor can run Young Living, taking care of her customers, and her chiropractic practice, and by the way, she's selling courses and coaching, it's all on this one platform, I think we can make our Young Living business work really well with just that platform, right? Let's just do that one thing today. I'm going to show you a simple way to get it done. And just make sure that you're taking notes. You will get a replay of this. But I do want to encourage you to turn off your distractions so we can be present here, because this does kind of require examining critically how you work, so that we can create an easy path to make work easier for us. So with that, we're going to turn off video and head over into our slides. I will be transitioning between slides and actually showing and telling as well today, so you can actually see what I'm talking about throughout this process. So, all right, here we go. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. So today we are talking about the personal assistant and accountability coach that is included with your GetOiling account at basic and above. So what's happening today is we're going to talk about how we can train them, right? How we can train your GetOiling account to become your personal assistant and accountability coach. And then, of course, as always, live help and Q&A. So if you did come here looking for specific help today, even if it has nothing to do with our topic of discussion, please do add your questions to the Q&A here on the live call so our team can help you. And of course, if you watch this in the future, you can join us on one of these live calls by going to getoiling.com/weekly work session to always know what's coming up next and to have an opportunity to work together live. And if you'd like dedicated space for working together live, if you want a review of the work that you've been doing, you want guidance, you want help, there's no wrong question to ask. You can go to getoiling.com/website review. Let us know what kind of help you're looking for, and we can actually reserve space on a call like this one to work with you one-on-one. All right, now, let me know in the chat. Does anybody here have an assistant? Do you have a human that you pay to do stuff for you and to help keep you on track? Or do you feel like you need one? Maybe if you don't, do you kind of wish you had one sometimes? It can get really easy to feel overwhelmed, even if what you're doing is just managing your life before you bring Young Living into the picture, right? So why not, for this thing that you want to build a business around, why not have one in place, right? So if you already have GetOiling, this is at basic plans and higher, where part of this is concerned. Where the other part of this is concerned, it's true for all plan levels. And I'll talk about the distinctions here in just a second. For the first two things I'm going to share with you, this is for all plan levels. And then the final piece will be for basic and above. So with GetOiling, you already have an assistant that's trainable for your unique business. Obviously, not every assistant can do everything for you, right? But this can do a lot, especially where it pertains to making sure you're showing up and doing the right things at the right times, okay? Another way to look at this, if you've ever been an assistant or had an assistant that kept you on track, sometimes the assistant's the boss, right? They're kind of making sure that you are showing up and running things, right, correctly. So that is very much a thing that you can do with the features I'm going to share with you today. But the kicker is that we've got to train your assistant to work for your unique business. Because with every single person here who's on this call and every single one of you who will watch this into the future, no two people run their Young Living business exactly the same. And it's a good thing, and it's also a challenging thing, because it means that we aren't just stamping in something that is pre-existing. We're not buying a franchise here, right? So it does require a little bit of creative thinking and a little bit of work, but I can tell you it's going to be far less expensive than hiring and training a human assistant, okay? So let's talk about getting this thing done. First, we're going to talk about training your GetOiling assistant. Here's an overview of what we're going to talk about today. We're going to outline our business systems. I promise this is simpler than it sounds, and I do have examples. Going to talk about how to train your assistant in processes and communications. These are going to apply to all GetOiling plan levels. And then we're going to talk about accountability coaching, which becomes available as a feature at basic and higher plan levels. Okay, so first thing we want to do is outline our business systems. So here's how I want to encourage you to approach this exercise. To outline our systems, we want to literally use an outline format in a word processor. Grab Microsoft Word, open Office, Google Docs, Pages if you're on a Mac, open a word processor, and then set it up to be bullets or numbers or Harvard style, whatever, doesn't matter, but create an outline. And what we're going to do is we're going to imagine our Young Living business flows in perfect linear fashion, meaning a perfectly qualified prospect is you've maybe just met them and you are seamlessly, without resistance and with engagement throughout the process, moving toward sharing Young Living with them. They're fully bought in, right? This is if something were to happen in perfect sequence all at once, linear, straight line from I met this person, we followed these conversation patterns, we reached this point where I shared, they loved what I shared, they signed up for loyalty rewards, right? Cool. We're going to assume this linear thing is happening in our business, right? When we do that, we're going to create an outline for each thing that you would say or ask them or share with them that facilitates that great qualified prospect becoming your customer on loyalty rewards. And if this sounds like, what on earth did she just say? Don't worry, I've got examples to show you. Okay. Here's what I want you to think. So first, first I want you to consider thinking about this in stages, right? Because obviously, if in a perfect world, which we don't live in, we walk up to somebody and say, "Hi, I think you could use Young Living," and they say, "Yes, you're correct. How do I get some?" And then they buy, right? Right? That would be great, but that's not actually how the world works. So we want to think through this. So let's think through this in stages. First, we've just met. And we're going from first meeting up to the point where there's an opportunity to share, right? Stage one, from having just met to where an opportunity appears. Cool? Stage two, that person that we just met in the previous step, we're friends with them now. That person shared a problem, right? That's that opportunity to share Young Living with them. They've shared a problem for which you feel confident. You know there's a solution that Young Living has that can help them solve it, right? Imagine this is a conversation. You're just becoming friends really fast, right? We're thinking linear. So we've just met. We've had an opportunity to share. That sharing happens because the friend shared a problem. And there is a process from where the friend says, I've really been struggling with sleeping lately. And it's impacting my work. And I feel like I'm just really stressed out all the time. You don't just go straight in and say lavender, sleep essence. Like you don't just jump in with that, right? Like there are questions you ask. There are words you say, there's information you gather, and then there's a way you ask them if they'd be interested in seeing a solution, right? Give me a yes in the chat if that makes sense to you. Our stage two, we have identified an opportunity to share because somebody said, "Hey, here's a thing that is not so great in my life." And you in your mind immediately are like, "There's an oil for that." Ooh, right? But that's you don't do it right away. What do you do? Think about that. We want to be making an outline where we list this. Stage one, up to the point of having an opportunity to share. Stage two is up to the point of having shared. Stage three, I've shared information. What is said? What is shared? What is done for that person to become a new customer? From new customer, we want them to be on loyalty rewards. It's another important stage. Another important stage, we want that loyal customer to see the benefit in sharing. And of course, that brand partner, we want to lead their team. Take a screenshot of this if you would like to use my notes to cheat and make your own outline, because this really is the process from stranger to leader in Young Living. Now, what you say, what you share, how you approach what lives in between the beginning and end of these stages is you. That's your business, right? Could certainly get inspiration from what I'm about to share with you and from others and training from leaders and things like that. But this is basically the framework. These are the systems in your business, the systems that you follow to move people from stage 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6, right? Pretty simple if we look at it this way. So here's an example. Going from just met to an opportunity to share, we're going to add this new person that we've just met to our contact manager. We've probably added their contact to our phone, right? We add them to our contact manager. Maybe another thing we want to make sure that we do, maybe we've done this sometimes and it's worked really well, but we don't always remember to do it. We want to look them up on social, add them, and then maybe go and like or comment on one of their posts, maybe a day later, right? Or maybe the same day, whatever. Right? Whatever works best for you. We also want to make sure in leading up to that opportunity for them to tell us that they have a problem we can help them solve, we got to be in touch, right? So we need to send an email, a text, or a DM in the first 24 hours because we're still top of mind. They know who we are. We want to make sure that they remember who we are too. They remember that great conversation that we had or how we met or whatever that might be, right? So we send that message in that first 24 hours. This is going to be true if you are at a vendor event, if you meet somebody in person, you make a new friend on social media, whatever that might be, right? Now, after you have sent that first message, it should be a forward question, right? Family, occupation, recreation, dreams. This should be icebreakers, becoming friends, right? Like at this point, we're really just being present and we're being friendly, right? So we're asking questions to keep this conversation going. And then of course, we want to make sure we stay in touch with this new person, at least every, week, every 4 to 5 days, to keep the conversation going. We're getting to know them. And our goal in this stage is to listen for a problem that you can help them solve with Young Living. Is that clear? Can I get a yes? This is the first phase, first stage of your business, right? And this is something that we can manage, and we can have a digital assistant help us to manage. Because for every single person that you meet, for every single person that you could share Young Living with, all of these things are true, right? So that's how you're going to create your outline. You're going to create an outline where you say, all right, I know I need to do these things. It's like a checklist for yourself. For each new person, up to the point where I've got an opportunity to share Young Living with them, what are the things that need to happen? Make yourself a list. Another example, I'm going to take you through the most critical ones. All right. So this is from, now this person's my friend, right? We've become friends. We've had a good bit of a conversation. Now it's up to, like, between this and offering to share Young Living with them. So once this person has opened up and shared a problem that you can help them solve, you're going to reach out the next day and share a solution. And this is where you say something to the effect of, hey, I've been thinking about what you said. I actually have knowledge of this, or I know somebody who dealt with this, or I dealt with this personally, or whatever. And I think I have some information that might actually help you. Would you be interested in checking it out? Right? You're asking them, you're offering to share information with them, right? So once they've shared a problem with you, you're coming back. You want to remind yourself not to jump right in, right? You in your brain, you're like, oh, there's an oil for that. But if you say it right then, I mean, you're kind of striking a little hot there, right? That's where we can feel kind of salesy and opportunistic or whatever, right? So what I want you to do is hit pause, right? And the next thing you're going to do is search your oily resources for educational and product information, and keep those links, put them into your contact manager, right? If you create a bundle or a wish list for them in Young Living, put that in your contact manager on their contact card. That's a to-do, right? Search your favorite testimonial resources and find a testimonial, gather your own, whatever that might be, right? Make a list of a few products, because you obviously, if they were to say yes today, in an ideal world, of course, remembering we're imagining this as a perfect linear process. In an ideal world, they're saying yes to everything that you recommend. So go ahead and make the whole list, right? All right, so that's another to-do. Another to-do is to set up a one-on-one appointment to review the information, because this is someone who says, I have a problem I'm struggling to solve. You see that there's a solution. We don't drop a link in the DM to help somebody solve a serious problem. We sit down with them, we show them that we're here for them and truly want to invest in helping them get that solved. Right? You don't need to be a practitioner, but you can be an accountability partner. All right. So that's what you are as a brand partner with your customers. So set up a one-on-one appointment, and then set a reminder to go out before that appointment. This is a to-do list for yourself. Put this into your outline, right? Next stage, that's the final one I'm going to share here, from information shared to new customer. So during your appointment or prior to the appointment, you're going to ask, what's your number one wellness goal? What have you tried? What's it costing you to not have this figured out? Are you willing to make strategic changes and stay accountable with me to get results? And then, of course, the other thing that you want to do is make sure that they sign up with those previously researched products in their first order. This is this next stage. We've shared the information. They're signing up. Again, imagining this in perfect linear fashion. All right. Oh, and actually, no, this is the last one. From new customer to loyalty rewards, because not everybody is necessarily going to get onto loyalty rewards or understand it in the first go. You want to make sure that they're equipped to be on that subscription moving forward. So we do make sure that we've signed them up with those previously researched products. And then we want to make sure we set up additional products for their next month's order. Or making sure when they place that first order that it's set to monthly or every 2 months, or whatever you're recommending to them for that product. Use your resources for this. And then you're going to add them to whatever educational resources you have. That's your to-do list. Maybe it's adding them to your vault. Maybe it's adding them to a Facebook group. Maybe any number of different things you could connect with them on. You want to then set a reminder for yourself to check in with them a certain number of days later, make sure they got that first order. And then, and critically, on your call with them when they sign up, or on your appointment with them to sign up, bam, fam, book a meeting from a meeting, set your next appointment, and then set a reminder for the next appointment. So these are all to-dos. These are all things that need to be done for everybody regardless, right? And it's a lot to stuff into your brain and keep organized. If you don't have this spelled out, if you don't have this written down, it's easy to see how it can feel overwhelming, right? Or how we can miss some of these steps and maybe not create the most optimal outcome possible, right? So make sure that you are really outlining this stuff. But just remember, and this is important, you only want to list things that are a part of your current business as it operates. So, as an example, if right now you don't have any active sharers, don't start outlining a leadership system yet. Don't worry about that. Cross that bridge when it's time to, right? Just focus on where things are in your business right now. Now, Allison, you just mentioned something important here. You said it sounds like a campaign in the making. This is actually one level above that. So campaigns, we're going to talk about those some today, but campaigns assume full automation. What we're talking about here is an active process that you're present for, that we want to make sure you're only present for the most important parts of it, right? The most impactful parts of it. And sometimes a campaign will do some of this lifting for you, like with your onboarding, for instance, with getting a new customer acquainted with Young Living and things like that. Campaigns are great. But yeah, this is going to involve using, yes, exactly, a follow-up plan first. We'll get to that here in just a second. So everything in the outline that you're creating, it needs to represent a thing that you're probably already doing manually, right? So reaching out, DMing someone, texting someone, emailing someone, engaging on someone's social profile, researching an item, scheduling a call, stuff like that. Make sure it's stuff that you're already, it's the stuff that you do. It's the stuff that's taking up your time right now. Okay. So we want to get that outlined first, and you've got mine to cheat off of. Okay. Now, once we're familiar with our systems, we actually can train our assistant, right? We can't hire somebody if we don't know what we want to tell them to do, right? Otherwise, we're just lighting money on fire. So let's train our assistant now that we know what our processes are, right? All right, so let's get into our process training of our assistant in GetOiling. First, we want to set up our systems. So we've made our outline already. Now we're going to make the systems. So what we're going to do first is to create a follow-up plan. But I want you to create a follow-up plan for each stage from that outline, because nobody is going to move through everything all at once. This can't just be one follow-up plan that gives you a to-do for the whole life of somebody, because you don't need to be getting a to-do to set up somebody's order when they haven't yet even told you what their problem is that they need help with, right? So we're going to create a follow-up plan for each stage of the outline we've created. Now, these follow-up plans, you should know, you can add these manually. And most of the time, that's what you're going to do, because you are conversing with someone who is your customer or future customer, right? Those follow-up plans can also be added automatically if, say, for instance, you have an in-person event, like a vendor event. You can have an automation attached to a landing page that you have people opt into to get your freebie. If somebody signs up on a form from your vendor event, you can have, say, for instance, the first stage of this follow-up plan automatically apply to that person, so you don't drop the ball with them, right? That's actually the best example. If you guys do, if you do in-person events, if you do vendor events, make sure that whatever you're using to capture their information from those events, if that's a landing page, a custom page, a text-in campaign, use an automation to apply a follow-up plan from that first stage of your pipeline that we've talked about here today, so that you never drop the ball again from somebody that you've met at one of these events. Now, what these follow-up plans do is they create to-dos for you that'll show up on your dashboard and in your daily emails from GetOiling. And it's going to show you what to do for each person based on where they are individually in your pipeline, right? Your pipeline being that whole outline that we're talking about, right? So that's what your follow-up plans are going to do. Now, before we get into communications training, I'm going to swap my share here over to our dashboard, and I'm going to show you where to go to work on these follow-up plans, okay, and how you can apply them. So over here under contacts, you can go to settings and then click follow-up plans. You can also go up here and type in follow-up plans, and you're going to see the feature show up here in the search bar. But let's go ahead and click here. And going back to, let's just look at our first just met up to the opportunity to share. So I'm going to call this a new lead follow up. And then I'm also going to say over here on the side, and this is just for, I'm doing this today. You do this how you want to, up to, let's see, up to opportunity to share. Right? So from where we met up to an opportunity to share, I'm going to create that follow-up plan. And day 0 is going to be immediate. And these are going to be to-dos for you. They won't see this. They will not see this. Okay. So the to-do for me is going to be add notes from first meeting to contact manager. This is not a coaching activity, so I'm not actually going to pull one from here. This is just for your own record keeping purposes. I'm going to hit add. Another thing I can do here on maybe the next day is look up social profile, add friend, like comment on a post, add. It's going to give me, I'm going to do that the next day within 24 hours. So I'm going to put on day 1. I'm going to send email, text, or DM to keep convo going. And this is going to be, there we go, add. And then I said, the last thing I said here was stay in touch at least every 4 to 5 days to keep this the conversation going. So, so this is going to be keep convo going till opportunity is shared. So I'm gonna, I'm gonna copy this because I'm gonna repeat this here in just a second. So I'm gonna copy this. And so this went out on day 1. So 5 days later, that's day 6. Keep convo going till they share an opportunity for me to share. And then another maybe 5 days later, that's going to be day 11, same thing, right? And I'm going to add a few of these here. You're going to find that if you are keeping up with them and following the steps here and you're asking questions, you're getting good at asking questions, then, you're not going to need a ton of these. But let me go ahead and put, 16 in here. Now we're talking about almost three weeks later at this point. This is up to the opportunity to share. So this is something, let me show you how you can apply this. Let's just say I have a new contact I'm going to create. This is going to be Jane. And I met Jane at church. This is a church friend. Maybe you obviously are going to want to put her email address and phone in here if you have it. If you don't, you're good. Maybe you're connected to her on social, in which case make sure that you put that information down here in the background info. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create this contact because that would be my first to do. But let me go over here to my contacts. And when you create your contact, you could have done this, but maybe you forget like I just did. And I'm going to search for Jane. There we go, that I've just added here. I'm going to check her box off here, and under actions, bulk contact actions, I'm going to go and find that follow-up plan, new lead follow-up up to opportunity to share, and hit apply. Now, when I go over to my dashboard and I scroll down, I have to-dos for today. And one of my to-dos for today is to add notes from my first meeting to the contact manager. So I'm going to go over and click her name so I can view her contact. And I'm going to go and add a note, right? So I'm actually going to tell myself what I did. So from our chat at class at church on Wednesday. And then we say whatever it is that we want to say. You know, she's got 2 kids, whatever, you've just met her, right? And so this would have been from Wednesday. I've added that note. And now there's my note, right? So we can keep this going. Now, let me show you one other way that you can use these follow-up plans. If we're going to have, we have your follow-up plan in place. Let's say you're going to do a vendor event. And at that vendor event, you're using a landing page in kiosk style where you're offering your gardening and oils. You've got your gardening and oils offer here, right? Where people can get access to this guy. And when they sign up, they're going to obviously get an email from you, but you want to be reminded to follow up with them. To do that, we need to use an automation. So let me show you how we're going to create that. Let's go over to automations. And then we're going to add a follow-up plan. And so what we're going to do here, and this is going to be add, what did we call this? Just met to opportunity to share follow-up plan. It'll populate that for you. And then under actions, we'll add that follow-up plan here. And that's it. We create the automation. And then when we edit this landing page, we can actually go down here and run that automation right here. So once somebody registers on this page, they're not only going to get whatever they signed up for, you're also going to get reminded to do all of the things that you need to do with all of your people, right? Makes sense? Really, really powerful thing that is not that complicated to set up and use. So I'm going to switch back over to slides. Let's get into the next thing that we're going to learn here. Anybody learn something new here today? Is that exciting? All right, so let me go back to where we need to be. And remember, you will see a replay of all of this. All right, now let's get into our communications training. So now we're going to train our assistant to speak on your behalf, to speak like you. All right, so how to train him to speak like you. What we're going to start doing is creating saved replies for each instance in that outline you created, where you would normally send an email or a text or a DM to share information, to share links, to ask questions, things like this. If you have ever been in a place where you're like, okay, well, what do I say? And then you've come up with what to say and you believe you would say it again, make a saved reply for it. Make a saved reply for everything. So for each of these phases in your business, you will probably see 2 or 3, some of these more, right? So once somebody becomes a customer, a new customer into loyalty rewards, loyal customer into brand partner, from these last 3, the second half of your outline here, you're going to see more saved replies because things become more standardized, right? The first section, that from just met to new customer, that's going to be a lot of hands-on. That's you being present. That's you communicating. That's you needing to be reminded to follow up. But you don't need to stop being reminded to follow up once somebody buys something, right? We still need to be able to take care of them without being their mommy, right? Because it seems like there's like one side of the spectrum or the other. It's that we completely drop the ball and we don't follow up, or we hover and helicopter, right? And we don't want to do either of those things. We can set a cadence that works really beautifully for you as a business owner that refers people to Young Living products, and for the person who's going to benefit from taking those products, right? We got to find a happy medium. And so anytime you've got a script that you would roughly follow, put that into a saved reply. If you've got notes on Ningxia Red that are in a nice, clean, here's all of the stuff that I have on Ningxia Red that I would want to send to anybody who asked me about it, make that a saved reply, right? These things are a godsend. You could literally do it for like a single line, a sentence, and you can stack them on top of each other. It's so cool. So, all right. So another great trick for this is to look in your DMs and look in your outbox of your mail or in your text or whatever, where your customers are and where you normally talk about what you do. Look for things that you've repeated. If you've repeated it once, it belongs in a saved reply, because then you don't have to type it again. Then it's like ready to just send, Okay, so we're going to go and create those. And by the way, I'll show you this as well. If you have things that you know, regardless of their feedback, you would need to share in a sequence, you create a campaign for that. I will show you that. We won't go into as much detail as saved replies, but let's go and check out saved replies and how we stack these guys up. So saved replies, you're going to find under contact settings and saved replies. You can also, again, type saved replies up here and you can find it in the search bar. So what do you mean single line and stacked on top of each other? Rebecca, I'll show you here in just a second. So one way to use a saved reply is to, this would be a welcome, a new customer welcome email. So this would be welcome to Young Living, and we'll use their first name. Awesome. So we're going to say this to everybody. It's going to be the same for everybody. And so we say, hey, and we pop their name in there again, because whoever's name it is, it still works the same. So excited to be part of this journey with you. And this is where you can, in your welcome email, put things like the link to sign in to your Young Living, into Young Living, into the back office, links to pages on the Young Living site. If you know that they started with PSK, then you can go grab a resource from a content partner like Grow Workspace that has a whole educational sequence on PSK, and you have the Sway link right here, and it's all already there, right? And so you can write the entire email, put images in here, put links in here, and it's going to be the same for everybody. And when you're ready to use it, we're going to save this. And by the way, this can be used for email or text. Let's go find our new contact here, Jane. And I want to send Jane an email. And so I'm going to go and find that saved reply that I just made. And of course, it's going to have all the links already there, all of the things already typed. If you want to make any changes to this, you can, of course, do that, because it is a new email. You can schedule it to go out later. You can send it right now. And so that's what that looks like, right? So that's if you want to have an email, like just use a saved reply for a pre-written email or text. One other way that you can do this, if you find that that is an email that would also serve you well as a planned sequence where you've got something that goes out immediately and another one 2 days later and so on, you can use saved replies to build campaigns. So let me go into one that's already created here. And we do have additional training on creating campaigns. Feel free to just click this little guy over here and type in campaign to learn more. But you can go to saved replies and populate your campaigns with your saved replies too. And they've already got all the formatting and all the pretty stuff if you've done that. Now, to address Rebecca's question, and this is like a cheat code for a lot of places on your website, especially if you like to use content partner, like first of the month resources, like a newsletter, that kind of thing, and you want to make it your own. Maybe you want to make sure that you're always sharing a link to your member area at the bottom of every email, even if it's from a content partner. You can create a saved reply that you can drop into other places. The trick here is, of course, you still want to give it a name. So this would be come to the member area. Don't give it a subject line because it's not its own email. We're going to use this as an asset inside of other emails and other content. So in here, I'm going to use a template from our saved replies. I'm going to use this guy right here and delete some of it because I don't need all of it to tell somebody to go to the member area. I'm going to delete, and I want to delete this guy. So here we go. Oh, there we go. So join our member area is what we would put here. Information about the member area goes here. And then let's give them a button to click and they can go to the member area. So we'll give them a button. We'll send them to your website members. And this is going to say, let's go. update, and then we can replace this image here with an image from Jane's member area. So if her member area photo is, I think I have one in here. Here we go. Here we go. We'll just put join the community. Okay, so this is now a thing that we have that we can use. Come to the member area is what we're calling it. So I'm going to click and create this saved reply. And this is the cool thing. So let's just say, for instance, I want to send Jane an email. I'm going to send her an email, and there's a couple things that I want to share with her. So the first thing is going to be, if I go to my saved replies, maybe this is her welcome. And then I also want to add in this come to the member area. So this is how you can actually stack things on top of each other. So this isn't just about one single email. It can even be bits of information so that you can custom share the specific things that you want to make sure goes out to someone. You can also pop this to the end, into the end of messages in an email campaign. So again, for instance, if you are sending out a new member welcome series and you just want to reiterate this, come join our member area at the bottom of all the emails, you can do that. Just make a saved reply and pop it back right into the bottom. Just make sure if you want to use it modularly like this, that you don't give it a subject line. Right? If it has a subject line, it's going to copy in as the whole thing. If you want to pop it into one spot, don't give it a subject line when you save it as a saved reply. Okay, so I see we're learning a lot of new things today. All right, we do have another thing that I want to share with you guys while we're still here. So stay tuned. We got more. We're training our assistant today. It's a good amount of work, but it keeps paying for you once you've done it, right? So again, what I'm referring to today in creating this assistant is not full automation, right? Because again, there are critical parts of your business that need you to be present. And so where there are instances where full automation is achievable, use them, right? And have that be a thing that shows up in your follow-up plan. Apply X campaign, right? So that's just an automated thing that they can get. But you can't rely on campaigns to do all of your communication heavy lifting. It still needs to have you present. You just, the reason why it feels like so much for you to do it with more than one person at a time, in terms of keeping in touch and all of this is because you're just keeping all of that to-do stuffed in your brain. If you give it to the system and allow the system to tell you it's time to do this step with this person, this becomes so easy and takes so much less time than you ever thought that it did before. All right, now let's get into this really critical, important final piece. How many of you feel like you know what you need to do a lot of the time, but you just don't do it sometimes, right? Do you ever feel like you would benefit? I know everybody here, big part of why you're here, of course, is because of Gary. It's because of the mission of this company, but you decided to become your own boss so that you wouldn't have to have a boss anymore, right? But you do probably kind of remember how it was easier to do your job when you had a boss, because there was somebody kind of walking like behind you and looking over your shoulder and seeing what you were doing, right? Well, you can replicate the benefits of that without the icky parts you don't want anymore by using our digital upline coach. You can create your own coach in place of your boss to help keep you accountable. All right. So the digital upline coach is a feature that is unique to GetOiling. You're not going to find this or anything like it really anywhere else. And we designed this for you, for your young living business. And so what you're able to do with this is to track your income producing activities so that you can really measure your productivity, right? So that you can actually know that you are doing enough of the right stuff because you're seeing the progress tracker advance toward 100%, right? There are activities that actually pay you in this business, and there are others that can contribute to payment, but they're not quite as important. And those are typically the ones that wind up, well, taking up a lot more of our time than they need to, right? So we want to track our income producing activities. The digital upline coach helps us do this. And if you're doing what I've shared with you today, if you're using follow-up plans, your to-dos are now customized. So your coach can actually tell you exactly what your business needs today so that you can keep track of everything and stay really effective and on top of things, right? And then, of course, once you have your digital upline coach in place, you can connect your coach with other GetOiling members, and you can track each other's accountability. So if you want to say, I am going to break silver in the next 6 months. And in order to do that, I am going to work 10 hours a week on my Young Living business. You can share that with your GetOiling digital upline coach, and you can share that with a friend who's also using GetOiling. You can connect your coaches together, and you can get on calls and actually see what kind of work you've been doing, what kind of work your friend's been doing, and you can help encourage each other toward that end goal, right? So I'm going to actually, before we get into life help and Q&A, I want to go over and show you how you set up your digital upline coach. And of course, what it looks like for how you use your coach moving forward. Now, when you got started with GetOiling, you probably were prompted to go through a couple of quick steps. Maybe you used them, maybe you didn't. But the digital upline coach looks like this. You're going to pick how many hours a week you're able to work in a dedicated fashion on growing your business. I'm not talking necessarily about maintaining your business, growing it, right? Because if you want to reach silver, you want to hit your next rank, you need to be working on growth, right? Not just making pretty graphics to hopefully get somebody to buy a new product this month. You want to work on growth, getting new people in, right? So go to your digital upline coach. How many hours? I encourage you to go lower than you think, so you don't overwhelm yourself. Start lower. Give yourself a win. Allow yourself to get to 100% easier the first time. So if you think you can do 5, do 5. If you think you can do 8 and you're a red personality, please do 5, try 5, give yourself a win. Don't stress yourself out. All right. And then there's just one quick question. If you have a brand partner, and by brand partner, I don't know if these designations have changed yet since Young Living has made some shifts recently. By brand partner, we mean somebody who has said, yes, I want to share and grow this business with you, who's actively participating, not somebody who got, maybe grandfathered in with that designation. Yeah, don't put 20 hours in until you've nailed 15 hours at 100%. Just so you really get comfortable using this. Aim for a lower hour amount. And you'll just feel so accomplished when you go over 100%, what it will allow you to do. And then you can change this at any time. I'll show you how you do it. So you can change your coach. They all have, slightly different personalities. Some of them are sillier. Of course, the cartoons and the baby are sillier, whereas these are more coachy. I think the uni here is our most popular, I think, followed by Lisa and baby. But anyway, I'm going to stick with this Coach Croc. He's a little snappy. And so you'll see when you actually click your digital upline coach, which you can click right here, you can see suggested activities. So if you don't have any to-dos in your system, it will suggest them for you. Right? And you'll actually have your to-dos, your custom to-dos for today. You could actually look at tomorrow's to-dos or the next few days to-dos next week. So if you're going on vacation, you want to get all your to-dos out of the way. This is all our schedule emails to go out when they need to go out, that kind of thing. You can look that up. Coaching tasks, again, these are going to be suggested for you for the week, for the month. They're all going to pertain specifically to growing a Young Living business. So for instance, you'll actually see that if you can get someone on your team to attend an in-person regional training or the Young Living convention, that's 10 points. That's huge. If you can immerse your person in the culture of this company, then you are doing way more for your business than DMing somebody or making a graphic, right? If you hold a product experience party and create an event for it to get people to RSVP, that's 10 points. It's people in person experiencing it. You're not going to find a lot of Canva activities, unfortunately, for creative types on this list. This is about what really makes you money. So anyway, the coaching tasks are suggested. You can fill up your entire progress bar just with your to-dos with your customers. Right now, let me show you how to make sure. So for instance, this Jane, send email, text, or DM to keep the conversation going. What you want to do is, if this is a coaching activity, we're going to click the box here, and we're going to actually go and find it from the list, right? So there's categories here: enrolling, inviting and follow-up, live events and Zooming, personal development counts here, presentations, promotional stuff, team leadership, right? Pulling reports are in here. There's a lot of stuff, administrative stuff you can put in here. There's a lot of ways that you can 1 point, 2 point yourself to getting this done, right? but there's definitely, yeah, Allison, just look in the list. Just look in the list. Know that the things that are going to be the most important for you are going to be tied to a contact, right? Where you can say, this is, for instance, I'm going to text a prospect to invite, right? So I'm going to hit that. I'm going to hit save. Actually, I'm going to add a note here. So look up products for new moms, has 1 4-year-old and a dog. Okay, so this is done. I'm going to create, oh, actually, no, I'm going to create another to do here. So this is sent text to invite to look at info to help her get better sleep in pregnancy. And then I'm going to create another to do for myself here when this is done, because I want to actually make sure that I remember to go look up products. So this already, because I'm inviting someone, that's 5 points. I'm going to hit save here. And now I'm adding another to do, and this is for me to look up, actually here, I'm going to type this in because I already did this. Look up new products for sleep products for new moms. And this is for Jane. This is for Jane right here. All right, that's not a coaching activity. There we go. Now all of this is in here. Let me refresh this page real quick. You can see that my progress bar has moved. There you go. And I now have a new to do, right? So there's still more that needs to be done here, and I'm continually keeping up with what needs to be done. Now, the final thing is, if you want to connect your digital upline coach, well, actually, let me ask you a question. If you want to change anything about this, number of hours a week, or your coach, you just click it, right? Click down here, or if you don't see it, go down here to my account and click digital upline coach to get started. If you want to be accountable with your with a teammate or a friend, you go to share my site, and you can share a coaching referral link, and that is going to allow that person with their GetOiling account to connect to yours. And so down in your dashboard, under my progress, you'll see yours, and then you'll also see a team one show up here as well, so you can actually see each other's. And if you are leading a team, then you'll actually be able to see not only yours, but the activities of anybody on your team who's using a digital upline coach and that you've connected with a basic plan. And this coach feature, this is for basic and higher. At basic, you can connect one other account. At premium, I believe it's 5. And I don't remember how that goes up further than there, but you can actually get to where you have all of your leaders who are using GetOiling on your team, and you're keeping track of that activity. So I know there's a lot of questions here in the chat. If you could pretty please, because I don't want to miss any of these in the last few minutes that we have here, bring those over to the Q&A if they weren't addressed. And I'm going to come over here to Q&A and address any other questions that we have. So Allison says, how do you check off something that is keep convo going until? So there's 2 ways to do this. It's actually a really good question. 2 ways that you can do this. What I was recommending and how I was creating that follow-up plan, Allison, was that I just simply, for 3 weeks worth of time, kept that conversation going, right? Maybe 3 weeks have passed and you haven't quite warmed up with that person to the point where it seems like they're ready to make that next step. There is a thing that you can do in your GetOiling system that allows you in perpetuity to be reminded to reach out to someone. And so let me go ahead and look up Jane, who we've been talking about. Here she is. Actually, I'm just going to click her from here. So we have the ability to rate our contact right here, and you can see an annual reminder, quarterly, monthly, weekly, or every 3 days. So if you are to a point where maybe at that stage, somebody has not, you haven't warmed up quite to that point yet, just set yourself a weekly reminder to be in touch with that person by having given this rating. Because when you go actually over to your dashboard, you can scroll down and actually see contacts you may wish to reach out to, and you'll see that person show up here. All right, what else? How do I add their name in the subject line of email? So Rebecca, in a saved reply, I assume is what you're asking here. In a saved reply, you're just going to copy and paste. So if you want to say, hi to them and then say something else, just come over here to these field tags and go to first name of contact and just copy it. So right here, I'm going Command or Control C on your keyboard. You could also double click or right click your mouse and just go to copy and then go up here and paste. Make sure you got a space in there and anything else that you want to say. It doesn't automatically populate in this field, but you can paste it there and it'll work just the same. All right. Did all these daily go out to my email? Yes. Oh, hey, thank you, Bertha, for asking that question. If you want to make sure that you are getting these daily reminders from your digital upline coach, go to your contact settings and go to general settings. And then just make sure that this is checked. Send me a daily email of activity and to-dos. All right. And then another question from Bertha. What else can my brand partners see if we share our coaching referral link? They're going to see percentages mostly of like, this is the type of activity that you've done. Greg, are you aware of any accounts that we have that like for demo purposes that might have another account attached for viewing that?
I'm not aware of any offhand. I mean, we used to have one, but you have to like do actions in both activities to make it show up. Yeah, it's like percentages in the category. It doesn't reveal like the task name that you did, no notes, no contact name. So it does, keep that information confidential at least.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the private stuff stays private. It is the nature of the activity and the quantity of the activity generally, and the category. All right. So Vera's question is, let's say we really like sleep information from Grow Workspace or Life Steps. How do we add that to a saved reply? Yeah. Oh my gosh, you should do that. So here's a cool thing. And for those of you who are using content partners like Grow Workspace, a lot of really great stuff that they share are in campaigns that are like dripped out and they're made for automation, right? That doesn't mean that you can't go and grab that information and put it into a saved reply. So let's go find something from Grow that I have in here. So here we go. How about hair, skin, and nails, or here we go. Beginner's Guide to Natural Living. I think this might be it. Well, it's a few days worth. So let's just say one of these has all this great information that you want to share. So all you got to do is copy and paste, right? So what I'm going to do here, and if you want to copy and paste something that's already formatted with images and stuff like this, what I really, really recommend you do is copy the code and paste the code. Okay, really simple. All you got to do, click this little 3 dot guy right here, more miscellaneous. Click this bracket, code view. Take a deep breath because you're not going to break anything. We're just going to copy and paste. Click anywhere in here and select all. Copy, and then go create a saved reply out of it. And I'll show you how to do it real quick. Here we go, saved replies. We're going to create a new one. And then just like we did a second ago, click this, and in between these little divider brackets, or I don't even know what that means. I'm not a coder. I just copy and paste things. See, we paste, swap out code view, and now that email is in a saved reply. Right? So that's, if you really want to make sure that it copies over looking just like it did in the other one, then you can do that. The trick is to have 2 tabs open for sure. And if you just wanted to copy the text of what's in it, which is really fine too, you can just copy and paste text and not fool around with the code. But that is how you preserve the formatting. All right. Good questions. Good questions. All right. Thank you guys so much for your amazing questions here today. There will be a replay. I hope you took lots of notes, and I cannot wait to see how you guys have put your follow-up plans together. So maybe let's take this conversation over to our Facebook group. So head over there and let us know what stages look like for your business. What are the saved reply, sorry, not the saved reply, the follow-up plan items that you're putting together for yourself. If you've been a part of previously, Go for Gold had one of these. Jessica Doman has a great course called Modern Social Mama, where she's already created these for you. That's modernsocialmama.com. It's built on our system, teaches how to use us. If you want something like that, that's already done for you. But I really encourage you to just get clear in your own sort of set of steps that feel logical to you. Because once you see that list on a piece of paper, it becomes very easy and logical to see how you use your GetOiling system to get this stuff done. So we are excited for you and how you can streamline your business and save time. And we'll be back same time next week. Actually next week with a special guest host. So look forward to that. And we'll see you guys all soon. Have a great week.